Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio. Today I have another vintage quilt block for you. This one is called Stepping Stones, and it's a nice big 16-inch block. It uses flying geese units and a 4-patch unit, and it goes together pretty easily, but there are a lot of pieces, so it does take time. So this isn't one that goes together fast, but the techniques aren't difficult. So if you can do a flying geese unit, you've got this one down pat. So I hope you'll stay with me and I'll show you how to make this one. Here are the fabrics that you're going to need to make the stepping stone block. For A, you're going to need 8 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles. B is 8 2.5 inch squares. C is 12 2.5 inch squares. D is 1 4.5 inch square. E is 8 2.5 inch squares. F is 8 2.5 inch squares, and G is 12 2.5 by 4.5 inch squares. The main technique in this block is the flying geese unit. So we're going to be making 8 flying geese units, and then we'll do a 4-patch, and then we'll add other pieces to it to make the block. So let's start with flying geese unit, and to do that, let's start with the A units and the E units, and we'll make flying geese from them. Okay, we're going to make 2 different sets of flying geese units. These first ones are going to be made with the A rectangles and the E squares. So we're going to have this set, and then the second set is going to be with the G rectangles and the B squares. So we're going to have 2 different colorways of flying geese units here. So I'm going to start with these. I'm going to take 4 of the rectangles and make flying geese out of them. And so I'm going to take 1 of the rectangles and 1 of the E squares and lay them right sides together. I'm going to do mine on the left side. That's usually where I start. And then I'm going to sew from this point to this point, and you can draw a line from here to here, or you can use, like I have a piece of tape here that is perpendicular to the needle, and it's right up against the needle, so I can sew with the point at the needle and down here and just follow that up, and I get a straight line. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to do that for all 4 rectangles. So I'm just going to chain piece those together. Okay, once I get them all chain pieced together, I'm going to clip them apart and clip all my threads. And I'm going to take my other scissors and I'm going to trim off this outer corner, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now when I go and press this, I'll have this look like that. So I'm going to go ahead and trim all of these and press, and then sew on the other side. Okay, so now I'm going to do the second side. So I'll just put this on the other side and sew from the center to the lower right hand corner and trim and press, and then the flying geese unit will be done. Okay, those are all sewn. Now I can trim and then press, and these flying geese will be done. So I'll trim that and press it back, and then I'll have the flying geese unit. So there's the completed flying geese unit. So now I need to repeat the same steps for the other colorway. Okay, so here is that flying geese. Okay, now that we have the flying geese units made, we need to sew them together, and what we're going to do is put a rectangle in between them So we're going to put all the pink colors together. So this fabric here is going to go in between these flying geese units. So it'll be laid out like this. I'm going to start by putting these flying geese together with this one. So right sides together, and I'm going to turn it to this side so that I can see the point of my flying geese unit where the stitches cross here and here, and then sew just right to the seam side of that, and that'll help keep that point. So I'm going to just line them all up and sew. So I'm going to do that for all four. I'm just going to chain piece them together, and then I'll sew on the other flying geese. Okay, I'm going to clip these apart. Okay, so what we have now is this, and I'm going to press away from the flying geese unit so that point will show better. So that's what we have so far. So I'm going to go ahead and press, and then I'll sew on the other flying geese unit. So here we have this, and now this unit is going to be sewn this direction. So we're going to have the flying geese going in the same direction, have the pink colors all matching. So this side, there isn't a point to match on this one, but I'm going to sew it from this side so that I can keep from flipping over the seams when I'm sewing. So here's the unit so far, and I'm going to press towards the center rectangle. Okay, so there is the pressed unit. So I'm going to set these aside, and I'm going to work on the corner units, and I'm going to start those by making 4 patch units with the F squares and the C squares. So I'm going to take 8 of the C squares and 8 of the F squares, which there should be 8 F squares. And I'm just going to sew them together. Okay, now I'm going to press these towards the teal fabric, and then sew the rows together to make the 4 patch block. Okay, so now I have 2 sets of these blocks, and I'm going to flip them so that I have opposite colors meeting, and I'm going to nest my seams together and then sew these into a 4 patch block. Okay, so now I have my 4 patch units done. And they look like that. So there's the 4 patch. So now I need to press. Okay, I'm going to sew the last 4 C squares onto G rectangles. So that'll use 4 of those rectangles, and we should have 4 left over. So we're just going to put them right sides together and stitch them on. Okay, when you get finished with those, press the seam towards the white. That will make things easier to go together for you when you put those onto the 4 patch blocks. and I need to sew the other G rectangles onto the 4 patch units. So I'm going to position them all in the same orientation here. So I'm going to position them so that I've got the teal square in the upper left corner, and this is going to go right here on the right side. So I'm going to sew all of these together like that. Okay, I'm going to press towards the white just because that'll be the area of least resistance. So we're going to press it out like that. Okay, so now I have this part done, and I've got the seam pressed towards the white, and I'm going to take one of these units and line it here so that I have all of the teal squares going in a line, a diagonal line. So put those right sides together and nest the seam, and I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in here and then sew this. Okay, here we go. So this is the unit, and then I'm going to press this seam. I'll press this one down, I guess, and repeat for the other 3, and then we'll have all our units done. Okay, so I have all of the rows sewn here, and I think they all turned out well. So now I need to just sew the rows together. So it's just a matter of matching up seams. I've got these 2 seams here, these 2 here, and I don't have to worry about points of the geese other than right here and here. I got these 2 points to watch, and then when I get those sewn, I sew on the 3rd row and press, and the block will be done. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so here's finished block. I'm going to press it and then we'll take a closer look. Okay, so here is the finished block. I think it turned out pretty well. This one is called Stepping Stones. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and this is the Stepping Stones block. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video on the Stepping Stone block. This was a fun one to make, and this one is the final one that I need for the quilt top that I'm making. So following next week, I'll be putting the top together, and I'll show you how that's going. So in the meantime, I hope you are all staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.